All right, quite a departure from the last video where it was horrific. This is actually really cool and something I totally didn't expect and found it today. And this is one of the benefits of having a family group page on something like Facebook, because I wouldn't have been able to get this without that. So I have almost 2,000 members now for my Descendants of Carini, Sicilia. And of course, if you're not familiar with Carini, Sicilia, it is in the western Palermo province, there on the coast of the western end of Sicily. But this is a connection. I got to do a video on this before I forget the details. And that's one of the big benefits of having not only this channel, but the family group page there on Facebook, because I have a record, a permanent record, or at least I hope it's permanent, a permanent record of all these stories, because this one's really cool, and I didn't want to forget this. So this is where it started last week. Somebody posted this obituary, I believe it's from 1987, and it's for a Frank Buffa. And he was in Modesto, and it says real clear, you can see he's a native of Carini. So he's saying, I found the following obituary and wonder if anyone's related. So it's unusual that it's in California, Modesto. Not too many of me are familiar with people on my line, but I was kind of familiar. I knew that there was a small handful that had actually gone to that particular area. And I looked, he originally was not on my tree, but his parents were. So those are his parents, Vincenzo Buffa and Antonina Guerra. And I got the line going back pretty far. And so they are distantly related. Well, let's take a look. We'll see. This is Francesco or Frank Buffa. 70, very distantly related, but he is on the tree. He's definitely related. So I was able to find a bunch of information for him. He's on the 1950 census. I have the death record. I have his finder grave. I also have his World War II draft record. We'll pull that up here. So there, very clearly, Carini. He's living in Riverbank, California. I guess that's near Modesto time. And he was a baker. He ran a bakery. So as I was researching Frank Buffa, I found some other information, and I want to preface this by saying there's not a lot of information to prove this, so I don't want to smear someone's name. But he does come up, and there is an FBI file that he was apparently a lower level mafioso.
Like the mafia?
Yeah, like the mafia.
I don't know. I'm not that it's not like Gaetano Badalamenti I did the video on, who was the head of the Genesee mob. It was pretty obvious there. I mean, but we know about him because he was in one of the biggest trials and longest trials in United States history, the Pizza Connection. Here, there's just not much information available to actually substantiate that Frank Buffa from Carini, and they have a picture of him. Yeah, I'll blow that up here. That's Frank Carini. That's Frank Buffa right there. He's not a high level guy. So he's not considered a high level guy, but the FBI has a file. Again, it doesn't mean he actually was in the mafia. Again, there's no arrest report. There's nothing in the news. I didn't find any information online to substantiate that he was a lower level member of the the San Jose Mafia, as they I haven't seen that. So here we go from this obituary to him being possibly a member of the mafia in San Jose. So the idea is, they're using the bakery as a front, like with the Pizza Connection. There's no reports to substantiate that. So let's keep that in mind. So that leads me to what I found today. Now, I found this, I just thought this was interesting. These are consecutive records for naturalization in New York. And it's about 1920. And we could see that they're consecutive. They're all signed on the same day. And then we see we got a Carlo Fanazzo Carini. Yeah, Atlantic Avenue, Sicilian. I mean, he's got to be Carini if it's Atlantic Avenue by the docks. And we have Vincenzo Galati, also from Carini. Again, these are consecutive records. And we can see it's the numbers up here. They're consecutive records. And I thought, wow, they probably knew each other or they were related. I did see that they live within 1.5 miles of each other. I use Google Maps, so that's really cool to be able to do that. I can see how close they were. You can see 90 at that. Like I said, Atlantic Avenue, it's a walk from the docks. A lot of me familiar lived there. In fact, my great-grandparents lived on Atlantic Avenue. So I wanted to see what's the deal here. I mean, how do they get to the office at the same time? Did they know each other? So I'm focused now on Vincenzo Galati because I found out that Carlo Finazzo died in 1924 in Cardini. Not a lot of information that I'm going to be able to get from him. Apparently, he traveled back and forth quite a bit. So I'm looking at Vincenzo Galati. Let me see if I can connect these two guys. His birthday is actually fairly accurate here. I think it's right on the money, and I do have his Cardini baptism record, and he is on my tree. And here is what we've all been waiting for. What do these things have to do with each other?
Well, we're waiting.
Well, Vincent Galati's daughter is Giovanna. Giovanna Galati. She married the alleged mafioso Frank Buffa. So I was like, wow, what are the chances that I find this record just by chance? And I'm thinking, well, they're consecutive. That's pretty cool. Well, Vincent Galati was also a baker. And his son-in-law, again, the alleged mafioso, was also a baker. So I always figure, well, that's probably how he met the guy's daughter. He married the boss's daughter. But what are the chances that I find this record and it turns out that this guy, his son-in-law, is the alleged mafioso in that obituary from 1987? I thought that was pretty cool. That's the kind of things that you got to make a record of because I'm never going to remember all these details and how many times that this comes out. So that's one of the benefits, again, of having a Facebook group page when you're doing family history, because you don't have to keep track in your head of all the details, because a lot of this gets pretty convoluted. I mean, you can look at some of the records that I had and where the videos I've done where half a census record sheet were family from Cardini, or Terracini. So the benefit here is we have what I think is a permanent record of the research we've done. And the added bonus is when you do have a number of people in the group, that there may be someone there that is related or is able to post something like this Cugino did, which led to finding something like this.
Now go home and get your fucking shine box.